Fans are running loud. And I'm kind of conflicted about how to share my screen without also sharing all of my personal notes. My personal notes are all tied up inside of my work notes, but so I've got this set up. I'm gonna test it out, see how it works. So something I've been thinking about is something I'm thinking about is basically how we use people as a shorthand for not incorrect perception, which I think is why I get depressed if I'm not around people, and also why I don't know what else. Oh yeah, I guess like it's also, I think there's like a positive sort of feedback loop where in order to sort of like have enough energy to be around people, you have to already like be around people. And I think that there's a sort of like dynamic where I wrote it out yesterday. I don't want to just go find it. So basically, okay, I found it. It's basically like social proof is like the reason why you need social proof for yourself is because it's the same thing as starting with a known good. It's like a known good point. Like basically you are constantly trying to like perceive reality, and the problem is you never really know when you're not perceiving, because unless you have like massive cognitive dissonance, having misperceptions, you correct your perception as soon as you understand that you misperceive. So generally speaking, nobody is walking around with like using misperceptions as their guide for reality. You never know when you have like misperceptions, because if you did, you would update your perceptions. So basically, instead, what people optimize for, and really only what you can optimize for, is like a situation where you have like the most known good variables. And I think that's what social proof is. That's why you need social proof in order to do social things, because doing social things is like consequential, but also you're constantly like, you know, struggling to perceive. And yeah, so it's like so having social proof means that you're starting with a known good variable, and then you use that known good variable as like a launch point to sort of like explore the social environment and get more and identify and nail down more variables basically. And so that's like, I think that's why you need social proof. And I've also been thinking that okay, what did I write? Yeah, I think basically I'm starting to think that like most perception, or like most negative emotion comes from misperception, which I think that's part of an old theory that I had. But I'm starting to think now that most of the reason why you misperceive is because you are either alone or not sufficiently in good company. Um, and um, yeah, not always true, but I don't know. That's what I was thinking about. Oh, that was another thing I was thinking about. Oh yeah, so basically, I've also been thinking a lot about like collectivist versus individualist like modes. And I had a thought this morning, which I wanted to explore today, which is that I think collectivist, like this might be a spectrum, which is that short-term perspective, like we use people to validate our short-term perspective. And I think maybe and maybe the opposite is true. We are individuals for the purpose of our long-term perspective. I don't know. I'm gonna think about that today. That's what I'm thinking about. Oh well, maybe not today. I don't know. I was like, I need to go through my notes and look at what I've been thinking about and pull it over here, and then um, decide what I want to think about most. Mm, bigger. Uh, Check this window over. There's that. Okay. So I'm looking at my other window now. Comparison between some. Yeah. Let's think about this a little bit. So collectivist versus individualistic. Um, Honestly, it doesn't really make sense to think that like collectivist is the same thing as like short-term perspective. That was a thought that occurred to me. I don't feel like it makes sense. Um, I mean, we definitely use people to, I think, validate our short-term perspectives, um, but also long-term perspectives. I also had a thought earlier today that I didn't write out. I should write this down. Which is that hmm, we use people to validate our perspectives. Something about that, and um, well, yeah, it's like we use people to accelerate our understanding. Oh, so okay. I basically think that loneliness is only a problem if you have any intentions of being part of society. If you have no intention of being part of society, then probably loneliness is not a problem. probably you don't care, probably. But if you intend to be a part of society, then loneliness is a huge problem, because um, you need, like like I think that this is like a self-fulfilling prophecy, where if you want to be around people, you need people to help you understand. To you need people to help you accelerate your perspective, because people are complicated, and interpersonal social dynamics are fucking complicated. And so it's like, if you are trying to approach social stuff, society, social life alone as an individual, um, it's not only going to get away from you, it's going to be more complicated than you can, like, sort of infer and keep up with in a reasonable amount of time. That's why you need friends. That's why you need people around you who, to sort of like help you figure things out faster in a more reasonable amount of time. And the more you want to be in and around people, the more amongst and around people, the more you need, like, friends and, like, constant sort of like social context in order to infer what is happening. Because, yeah, I have this other theory which keeps on coming up for me, which is that communication is a triangulation problem. And I think that's why in many, like, romantic relationships, or really any relationship where there's two individuals talking to each other without the context of community, often there are communication problems. I've had this in the past, in my personal relationships, where I had a significant other, and we loved each other, we cared about each other, but we had crazy communication problems. And at the time, I was just like, dude, maybe it's impossible to accurately communicate with people. And now looking back, and this is a theory, I haven't really substantiated this yet, I think to my satisfaction, but looking back now, I think the problem was just that, like, we were alone. It was just the two of us. Like, we didn't have a community. And I think accurate communication is a triangulation problem. If there's only two of you, that means there's only two data points, and you can only infer the direction somebody is talking from, not actually where they are at. You need a third data point to be able to triangulate it. And so, like, I think, like, accurate communication essentially requires community. It requires more than two people. And I think this is part of it as well, where it's like, you need, I think, like, the rule of three comes up a lot, where it's like you need three things to create a pattern. That's why the rule of three is so, that's why the rule of three comes up so frequently, because we are pattern recognizing machines, and you need at least three of something to create a pattern. And so if you have less than that, then you just don't have enough to reliably work with, you know. So I think, I have thought this before. I haven't really substantiated this either, but I have thought this before, that social proof is there might be a limit, like a lower minimum of yourself and at least two other people you need for enough social proof to feel confident in any given social situation. But I don't know. Okay, so I guess I will define or write this out. Actually, I don't want to think and write about this right now. I'm gonna look at my other notes and see what else I have. Actually, is this the right? Okay. Why is it so different? okay, I'm in the wrong spot in my notes. Hmm. Something I definitely need to think about today is how to tell people about my Patreon. Mm, I'm gonna stop recording for a bit. Post this though and see how I like it.